What if the reason people lose attraction has nothing to do with looks, money, or status? In this powerful deep dive, Robert Greene reveals the hidden psychological triggers that create obsession, emotional attachment, and lasting desire. Most people know how to attract attention for a moment, but almost nobody knows how to stay unforgettable for years. This isn't about manipulation. It's about mastering mystery, emotional tension, confidence, and human nature itself. Once you understand these timeless laws of attraction, the way people see you will change forever. Watch until the end. The final lesson changes everything. There is a reason certain people walk into a room and immediately command respect without saying a word. It is not because they are louder. It is not because they are physically stronger. And it is certainly not because everyone likes them. It is because they possess something rare in this world, control over themselves. Most people are emotional prisoners. The moment someone criticizes them, ignores them, insults them, or challenges their ego, they react instantly. Their face changes. Their voice becomes defensive. They try to explain themselves, prove themselves, fight back, or seek approval. And in that exact moment, they lose power, because the person who can control your emotions becomes your master. Understand this deeply. Emotional reactions are predictable, and predictable people are easy to manipulate. When someone disrespects you, they are often testing your emotional stability. They want to see if they can shake you, provoke you, or pull you into chaos. Weak people thrive on reactions because reactions give them significance, but the most dangerous individual in any environment is the one who remains composed while everyone else loses control. Think about the people you secretly admire, the leaders, strategists, and powerful figures throughout history. They were not ruled by impulse. They understood that silence can be more threatening than anger. Patience can be more powerful than force. And calmness under pressure creates an aura that others cannot easily challenge. The next time someone attempts to disrespect you, do not rush to defend yourself. Pause. Observe them. Let the silence stretch for a moment. Most people become uncomfortable when they cannot control your emotional state. Your calmness forces them to confront their own weakness. This does not mean becoming passive. It does not mean allowing others to walk over you. True self-control is not weakness disguised as peace. It is strength restrained with intelligence. A lion does not panic when a dog barks. The reality is that people respect those who respect themselves enough to remain centered under pressure. When you stop reacting emotionally to every opinion, insult, or provocation, something shifts in the way others perceive you. You appear grounded, certain, untouchable, and in a world addicted to emotional chaos, that level of control becomes intimidating. Mastering yourself is the first step toward mastering every room you enter, because when nobody can control your emotions, nobody can truly control you. And the moment people realize they cannot shake your mind, their respect becomes automatic. One of the greatest traps in human nature is the desire to be liked by everyone. From childhood, you are conditioned to seek approval. Your parents reward you when you behave correctly. Teachers praise you when you follow instructions. Society trains you to measure your worth through acceptance. And without realizing it, many people spend their entire lives performing for an audience that will never truly be satisfied. This is where disrespect begins. The moment people sense that you need their validation, they unconsciously lose respect for you. Why? Because desperation weakens perception. When someone is constantly seeking approval, constantly explaining themselves, constantly trying to prove their value, they communicate insecurity without speaking a single word. Human beings are strange creatures. We are drawn toward people who appear complete within themselves, people who do not beg for attention, people who do not collapse when ignored. There is something magnetic about an individual who knows their worth without needing to announce it. Look carefully at social dynamics. The person who tries too hard to fit in often becomes invisible. They laugh too loudly. They agree with everyone. They fear disagreement because they fear rejection. But ironically, the more they chase acceptance, the less respect they receive. Power begins the moment you detach your self-worth from the opinions of others. This does not mean becoming arrogant or cold. It means understanding a deeper truth. Most people are too consumed with their own insecurities to accurately judge your value anyway. Their approval is unstable because it changes with mood, trends, emotions, and personal interests. If you build your identity on external validation, Your confidence will constantly rise and fall, depending on how others react to you. That is an exhausting way to live. The strongest people you will ever meet are not obsessed with being admired. They are obsessed with purpose. They focus on their craft, their discipline, their mission. And because they are not chasing approval, they naturally command it. There is also a psychological effect at work here. When people realize you are willing to walk away from their approval, they begin valuing your presence more. Scarcity creates respect. Independence creates intrigue. But when you constantly seek reassurance, you remove all mystery and power from your character. Many people tolerate disrespect because they fear losing relationships, attention, or acceptance, so they remain silent when boundaries are crossed. They tolerate manipulation. They shrink themselves to keep others comfortable. And over time, this slowly destroys their self-respect. You must reach a point in life where your standards become more important than temporary validation. Not everyone will like you once you stop pleasing people. Some will become uncomfortable. Others will accuse you of changing, but what truly disturbs them is that they can no longer control you through approval or rejection. Freedom begins when praise no longer intoxicates you and criticism no longer breaks you. Because the person who depends on nobody's validation carries a different kind of presence, a calmer presence, a stronger presence, a dangerous presence. And when you stop asking the world to confirm your value, the world begins to recognize it on its own. One of the most underestimated forms of power in this world is silence. Most people speak too much. They explain too much. They reveal their emotions too quickly. And because of this, they become easy to read, easy to predict, and ultimately easy to control. Silence, however, creates a different effect. It introduces uncertainty. It forces people to think. And nothing unsettles human beings more than not knowing what someone else is thinking. When people feel insecure, they rush to fill every moment with words. They defend themselves before being accused. They argue endlessly to prove they are right. They talk out of nervousness because silence feels uncomfortable to them. But powerful people understand something deeper. Words can give away your weakness, while silence forces others to reveal theirs. Think about the moments when someone insulted you or challenged you publicly. Most people react instantly. They become emotional, defensive, loud, and in doing so, they surrender control of the situation. The other person now controls their emotions like a puppeteer pulling strings. But imagine responding differently. Imagine remaining calm. Imagine holding eye contact for a few seconds longer than expected. Imagine saying less than necessary. Suddenly the dynamic changes. The person attacking you begins to feel exposed. They expected resistance, chaos, explanation. Instead, they encounter composure. And composure creates psychological pressure. Silence has a strange effect on the human mind. People begin projecting their own fears and assumptions into it. They wonder if you know something they do not. They wonder if they misjudged you. They start overthinking their own behavior. This is why silence can often be more intimidating than aggression. There is also wisdom in restraint. Many conflicts in life are unnecessary battles created by ego. People disrespect themselves trying to win arguments that never mattered in the first place. They waste energy explaining their value to people determined not to see it. They become trapped in emotional warfare with individuals beneath their level of focus. You must learn the discipline of selective speech. Not every criticism deserves your attention. Not every insult deserves your response. Sometimes the strongest move is to observe quietly and let people reveal their character over time. Human beings expose themselves eventually. The arrogant become careless. The dishonest contradict themselves. The manipulative reveal their intentions through patterns. Silence allows you to study others while revealing very little about yourself. This does not mean becoming mute or emotionally distant. Silence is powerful only when paired with presence. When you finally speak, your words should carry precision and weight. A person who talks constantly becomes background noise, but a person who speaks carefully commands attention naturally. There is another reason silence earns respect. It demonstrates emotional control. It shows that you are not ruled by impulse. Most people are addicted to reacting. Very few can remain composed under tension, and that composure creates authority without force. In many situations, your silence will say more than any argument ever could. It tells people you are secure enough not to chase validation, strong enough not to fear judgment, disciplined enough not to waste energy proving yourself. And once people realize your mind cannot be provoked easily, they begin approaching you differently because the person who controls their tongue eventually controls the room. One of the clearest signs of self-respect is the ability to create boundaries without guilt. Most people struggle with this because they confuse kindness with weakness. They believe being good means constantly sacrificing their comfort, their time, and their dignity to keep others satisfied. But the world does not reward people who abandon themselves. In many cases, it quietly punishes them. Human nature works in a very simple way. People observe what you tolerate. If you allow disrespect once without consequence, many will assume access to you comes without limits. They begin taking more than they give. They interrupt you, dismiss you, manipulate your emotions, waste your time, and slowly reduce your value in their minds. Not always because they are evil, but because unchecked behavior naturally expands. This is why boundaries are essential. A boundary is not anger. It is not aggression. It is clarity. It is the quiet decision that certain behaviors will not be accepted in your presence. And the moment you communicate that clearly, people begin understanding that you value yourself. Many individuals fear setting boundaries because they are afraid of losing people. They fear conflict. They fear being disliked. So they remain silent while resentment grows inside them. They say yes when they want to say no. They tolerate disrespect to avoid temporary discomfort. But over time, something dangerous happens. They lose respect for themselves. And when self-respect weakens, others sense it immediately. There is a psychological truth you must understand. People rarely respect someone who refuses to protect their own standards. If you constantly allow others to cross lines without consequence, you unconsciously teach them that your needs are negotiable. Strong people understand that every relationship is shaped by what you permit, not as how confident individuals behave. They do not over-explain their boundaries. They do not beg others to understand. They communicate calmly, directly, and without emotional chaos. There is power in simplicity. I will not tolerate that. That does not work for me. Respect my time. Few words, clear energy. The irony is that many people who become upset when you create boundaries were benefiting from your lack of them. When you begin protecting your peace, some people will call you selfish. When you stop tolerating disrespect, some will accuse you of changing. But what truly frustrates them is that they no longer have unlimited access to your energy. You must become comfortable disappointing people when necessary. This is one of the greatest forms of maturity, because if your entire life is built around avoiding conflict, you will eventually become controlled by everyone around you. Boundaries are not walls to isolate yourself from the world. They are filters. They reveal who respects you and who only values your usefulness. The people who genuinely care about you will adapt. The people who only benefited from your weakness will resist. And remember this, every time you defend your standards calmly and unapologetically, you strengthen your identity. You remind yourself that your time, energy, and emotional well-being have value. The world treats you according to the standards you enforce, not the words you speak. And the moment people realize you are willing to walk away from disrespect, they begin thinking twice before offering it. At the end of the day, respect is not something you demand with words. It is something you build through value. This is where most people misunderstand power. They spend years trying to appear important instead of becoming important. They chase attention, status, and recognition, believing these things will force others to admire them. But attention is temporary. Real respect is earned through substance. If you truly want people to stop disrespecting you, become someone difficult to replace. Develop skills. Strengthen your mind. Build discipline. Learn things others avoid learning. Most people are lazy with their potential. They want admiration without sacrifice. They want influence without mastery. But the world naturally bends toward people who create undeniable value. Think about it carefully. In every environment, the individuals who command the most respect are usually those who bring something rare to the table. It could be intelligence, leadership, creativity, emotional stability, strategic thinking. The specifics do not matter as much as the principle itself. Value creates leverage. When you lack direction in life, you become emotionally dependent on how others perceive you. Their opinions feel enormous because you have not yet built a deeper connection with your own purpose. This is why many people obsess over disrespect. Their identity is fragile, so every insult feels like a threat to survival. But when you become consumed by growth, something changes psychologically. Your focus shifts away from proving yourself and toward improving yourself. And ironically, this is when people begin respecting you the most. There is a certain aura around individuals dedicated to mastery. They move differently, speak differently, think differently. They are less desperate for validation because their confidence comes from competence. Quiet competence is one of the most intimidating forces in human nature. You do not need to announce your value constantly. In fact, people who truly possess power rarely feel the need to advertise it. Results speak for them. Discipline speaks for them. Consistency speaks for them. Many people waste years trying to win arguments, dominate conversations, or seek revenge against those who underestimated them. But the strongest response to disrespect is often silent elevation. Improve yourself so deeply that the opinions which once wounded you become irrelevant. There is also another truth people avoid discussing. Respect follows scarcity. If everyone can access your time, your attention, your energy, and your talents without effort, your value decreases in their eyes. But when your life becomes centered around purpose and growth, your presence naturally becomes more valuable because it is no longer easily available. This does not mean becoming arrogant or detached from others. It means understanding that your energy is precious, your life is finite, and every day spent chasing external approval is a day stolen from your own potential. The people who once doubted you will eventually notice the change, not because you demanded recognition, but because transformation is impossible to hide. Human beings instinctively respect individuals who commit themselves to growth while others remain stagnant. And perhaps the most powerful part of all this is that true value creates inner peace. You stop obsessing over every opinion because you know exactly who you are becoming. Your confidence no longer depends on applause. It is rooted in evidence, the evidence of discipline, effort, and self-mastery. In the end, the world does not permanently respect talkers, complainers, or attention seekers. It respects those who become impossible to ignore. They laughed at you, ignored you, spoke over you as if your presence meant nothing. But what if the real reason people disrespect you is because they sense the weakness you still tolerate within yourself? In this intense psychological breakdown, you will discover the hidden laws of power, silence, confidence, and emotional control that instantly change how people treat you. Most people spend their lives begging for respect without understanding one brutal truth. Respect is never given to those who seek it desperately. The moment you master yourself, set boundaries, and become mentally untouchable, everything changes. Watch closely, because these lessons can transform the way the world sees you forever. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, then do not let it end here. The world changes the moment you stop seeking approval, stop reacting emotionally, and start building unshakable self-respect. Remember, people treat you according to the standards you accept. Master your emotions, protect your boundaries, and focus relentlessly on becoming valuable. That is how true respect is earned. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more powerful insights on human nature, psychology, power, and self-mastery. And tell me in the comments, which lesson changed your mindset the most? Because the moment you master yourself, nobody can control you again.